What's up, y'all? My name is Evan Strong, the founder of In The Image Clothing Company. Today is the 21st of November, 2025. This is a video on our main side. Okay, there's 4 sides to In The Image Clothing Company. This is our main side where we allow the human body to work. We come at it through clothing because the human body is about its center line. The sternum, the spine, the trachea, the nose, and our jaw. The jaw stabilizes the entire body on Earth's gravity, and Earth has a center to gravity. And so we just need to keep our clothing that we place on our bodies the only fix to human beings' physical problems, because it's the only thing physically placed on us, centered, right? It has to stay centered, fit correct, and be made from, in all the ways that we can, 100% natural materials. Unnatural materials are just new, decades old as of today's date. And the body's musculature contracts to the center line. Okay, feet arches in our base foundation, grip inward, keeping us vertical on Earth's gravity by opposing the center line. Okay, musculature connects from the outside of the shoulder into the center at the sternum in the front, evenly on both sides, and from the outside of the shoulder into the spine, in the center, in the rear, evenly on both sides. So clothing just has to allow our bodies to work, right? That's what it means to allow the body to work. It's impossible to train the human being. There's neutrals to rotations. Internal rotation and external rotation. From the neutral in the forearms, in the entire arms, in the lower legs, and in the entire leg, okay? There's only one way the human body could ever work. Neutral straight out the pinky finger and the pinky toe forward. Yeah, centered. Clothing, it's got to stay centered, okay? We give a lot of free modifications in clothing. We'll always have good clothing, as In The Image Clothing Company, to allow the body to work. But you don't have to purchase our products. You know, we're here just to help human beings. I'm in this for life, Evan Strong, as the founder of In The Image Clothing Company. And a lot of what we do is just, give information to people, help people in their lives, man. Operate as the mechanical machine that they are, okay? So this is the big thing. We talk about where clothing sits and the angles of things. It's about physics. We don't have opinions here when we have an approach being natural to all 4 sides of In The Image Clothing Company. The goal is natural because natural, neutral, and normal are synonyms within the functioning of the human body, okay? We do the same thing for dogs. In The Image Clothing Company Poodles is another one of our 4ths. We specialize in purebred standard poodles. We give information that applies to all dogs on letting dogs stay natural, okay? The dog's the same as a human being, just being a mechanical machine placed onto a rock in space. So, collars, leashes, harnesses, things placed onto dogs in the Image Clothing Company dog products, sure, but just keeping these things fitting the dogs properly, okay? Keeping collars centered for human beings and dogs. We've just got collars around musculature of our neck that needs to stay evenly opposing the center line of the body, okay? In the Image Clothing Company's dreaded collar seam modification, if we've got a seam in the collar of our top, it's dreaded because it'll imbalance the entire body. We live in a right-handed world. We get into this right-handed patterning. The right side of the body really gets pulled off and externally rotated, dropped lower, down to the feet, out to the hands, the entire body. Takes the jaw with it, okay? So, anyway, a lot of things we do here. And this is a big thing, man, is we talk about little things, man. A lot of our modifications are very small in clothing. In the Image Clothing Company's dreaded collar seam modification, in the Image Clothing Company's rotated seam modification. We have a lot more, but I talk about those 2 often because they're huge. And they're so commonly in our clothing, things that just didn't exist in the past, like stretch in clothing, just decades old as of today's date. Tags in clothing, one of our 2 prerequisites as in the Image Clothing Company, in addition to just talking about where clothing sits on this universal human design we have, right? We remove all tags from clothing because they're new. They're causing a physical gap, either just changing the body's only working position, or they just don't allow musculature to activate. And then really the body only has one way it could ever work. Activated as a whole. All of it's there. Everything has a different role to play individually. And it can't compensate for anything else. There's no dead weight that we can just drag around and have the rest of the body be working. Okay. So, yeah, a lot of modifications that are very small. Now let me unzip this fanny pack that I have, because I forgot to take this out before the video. It's fine, but you know what I actually did is zip the fanny pack up. Holy cow, it means it was unzipped already as I hiked up here. All right. Wait, that's kind of nuts, because I just filmed a video just, down here a little ways, right before I came over here on the main side of In the Image Clothing Company, and it'll be titled, "The Feet Only Work Barefooted." I was barefooted over on some of these rocks over there, not that far from where I'm standing right now. And, I discussed a lot of that. So the fanny pack's been unzipped since probably when I left the house to come over and film that video. Oh my goodness, it's still unzipped. Well, because there's 2 zippers on it. And, oh, maybe I unzipped it then when I was over here, because did have it open, but I have this in my hands. Okay. This is the tail of my shirt. This is the shirt tail for this white polo, okay, that's underneath this blue t-shirt. This video is titled, "Clearing Shirt Tails with the Thumbs," okay? We talk about the body just staying over Earth's gravity, right? Keeping our bodies over Earth's gravity is one of the videos we have here on In the Image Clothing Company's main side. And our bodies just need to stay centered over Earth's center of gravity. That's the thing, is we don't have any opinions here that could matter, at least, right? Under In the Image Clothing Company, we're designed in the image of God. That's where our company comes from, In the Image Clothing Company. In the image of Jesus Christ is how our bodies are designed, and we just place clothing on them, and it has to stay intentional to allow them to work the only way the human body ever could, because we really have no say over it, right? We have no say, and we didn't design it. We can't decide it. And many episodes of In the Image Clothing Company podcast discuss this. That's another one of our 4s. We have discussions on the gospel of Jesus Christ, aka the truth of all things, under In the Image Clothing Company podcast. No claim, you don't have to be religious, but we're all human beings placed on the same earth. We have one God who designed us all. We discuss him there as he says that he is, except we never do it perfect, because we are imperfect human beings. Always, in this life, okay, which is what we discussed there as well, yeah. So we're on episode 178 as of last night of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. And, well, anyway, we just talk about the body, man. We give deep discussions on the anatomy of the human body here under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company. And a lot of what we do with gravity is just accommodate for it. As human beings, we can't do anything else that opposes what gravity will do to our bodies. And so what we have is this shoulder, okay? The upper arm bone, the humerus, the collarbone, the clavicle, the shoulder blade, or the scapula, making up the shoulder joint, and directly below that, okay, our arms will just hang. And then we have that neutral hand, well, neutral wrist, really, straight out from the pinky finger from the outside of the forearm. Our arms just hang at our own sides, keeping elbows at the natural waist, a video under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company, okay? We have to in life to just keep our bodies neutral. The natural scapula position, a video under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company here as well. We have to keep our scapulas, or those shoulder blades, the big bones on our upper back, neutral, okay? There's only one way the human body could ever work. No possible way to train it, despite people training their bodies all the time. Oh, shoot. There's no way to stretch the human body and benefit from it. All musculature only contracts, like I was showing to the center line. The human body only pulls. A video under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company here. Even though that we can do a motion that seems like a push, it's just 2 endpoints of muscles pulling together. But there's opposing muscles to a function, okay? So, yeah. There's no way to get the body to do anything, and that's why we allow the human body to work here under In the Image Clothing Company's main side. But we just have to have things sitting on our bodies correct. And so when our arms are hanging down with Earth's gravity, okay, our thumbs are just the inside of our arms, right? The farthest in, if our elbows are bent here and we put our palms down, the farthest in, closest to our bodies, part of our hand is our thumbs, and they kind of stick off the hand because the neutral wrist is the outside of that arm, the pinky, straight down the forearm, just like the neutral pinky toe, straight forward, okay? We talk about the feet a lot, and it always starts at the feet. But our thumbs, they just need to clear our own sides. They need to clear our own legs, you know? If our elbows are just, you know, needing to stay at our natural waist, and if our hands are just the other end of the elbow, if you will, right to the shoulder, because I say, you know, and it just is what it is, the hand is essentially the shoulder. If you lock out your elbow between the shoulder and the shoulder will do exactly what the hand does. Okay, rotation-wise, any motion, because when we lock out the elbow, it's just like locking out the knee. The feet are essentially the hips as well. It's just one straight line, and it's all just doing the same motion because there's nothing in between the shoulder and the hand allowing for like the rotations in the forearm, for example, okay, or the rotations in the lower leg when it comes to the feet to the, you know, from the feet to the hips, being the same thing essentially, right? So what we have to do is realize we need to be able to straighten our elbows. You know, we talk about minding the gap. An episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast is titled Mind the Gap. I talked about minding the gap between us and God. It kind of just sneaks in there at times in our lives. But minding the gap between our own bodies and themselves. The arm and our own side, right? With oversized clothing, for example. And we need to just be able to have our elbows swing and be able to lock out straight at our own sides, straight down with Earth's gravity from where the hand is connected to the body up at the shoulder. Okay? And, you know, so we talk about minding the gap, things like keeping short sleeves short, the importance of even short sleeves, right? In this right-handed world, yikes. One side can be altered and the other side maybe isn't. You know, and then it's rotation-wise, it travels down to the feet from a short sleeve on your forearm, okay? Just because the structure of the body, rotations have to have room to happen, okay? And so a big thing that does happen, though, is we have a lot of designs nowadays that are too long. Well, that's the point right there, right? Short sleeves often aren't short. That's why that's why I say it like that. Keeping short sleeves short. You know, this shirt that I'm wearing here, these sleeve cuffs on this white polo underneath this blue shirt are rolled up twice. Like, it's rolled once and then twice at just the sleeve cuff. And now my forearms can actually have their rotations. Okay, so that's what I mean by keeping short sleeves short. This is technically a short sleeve shirt, and it fits me well at the shoulder edges. It's a size medium. I wear size mediums in tops. Evan Strong, as the founder of In the Image Clothing Company, right? It fits me well in a lot of ways. But, you know, we've got to keep those short sleeves off the forearms, and then we have rotations there, and we talked about that. But what we have to do as well is clear shirt tails with our thumbs, okay? Clearing shirt tails with the thumbs. This video's title under the main site of In the Image Clothing Company. You have to, because otherwise, if there's a gap here, okay, because your thumb comes in, you know, it's not just the inside of the forearm, but then the thumb kind of sticks off here. And so if we can't have our thumbs at our own sides here, at our own legs, I mean, this could be the same thing as having things in your pockets. This could be the same thing as just, well, the importance of no loose ends in clothing. A video I filmed, you know, a few days ago, give or take, here in St. George, Utah, where we're based as In the Image Clothing Company. You know, something like the backpack straps or this fanny pack strap. Similar thing, but this is very specific to shirt tails because we're just about always wearing some kind of top. So a shirt tail could be a jacket tail, a coat tail, anything that's our top, okay? And the bottom of our top, if you will. It has to clear those thumbs. Really, the thumbs have to clear the shirt tails. Because if not, then as we're just in life, there's just this gap that deactivates our shoulder from our thumb, okay? And so that's the thing is we talk about things here. It's nothing to do with fashion. It's about the anatomy of the human body. It's a little bit windy. If you hear it in the mic, I'm just addressing that there's a little bit of wind in this canyon, which makes sense. That happens in canyons. But a lot of what we do is just this, right? Yeah, I cut the shirt tail off because I needed this much distance, which this was folded in half. And so it's about a half an inch really is all that I had to cut off the shirt tail because, well, without this fanny pack strap here and then just, the material on material with this other blue shirt that kind of, maybe doesn't lay as long as it would if I just had the white shirt on alone. But before cutting off this little about half-inch length, shirt tail, my thumbs couldn't clear it. And now my elbows couldn't straighten. And we talk about the importance of even elbow extension under the main site of In The Image Clothing Company. That's a video's title. There's a lot of the importance of even videos and focus that we put on parts of the body, insertions of muscles, the importance of even sternocleidomastoid insertions up here behind our ears, the importance of, all the videos I could reference. We've got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of videos as of today's date, But the big thing is we need to be able to have evenness to our bodies. And so the importance of even elbow extension, well, what that really means is our arms being able to hang straight down with Earth's gravity, okay? A little bit windy. So, shirt tails. We have a lot of designs nowadays that didn't exist in the past. Things material-wise, but then just designs themselves. Clothing in a lot of ways looks different, is shaped different, is sewn differently. Rotated seams. In the Image Clothing Company's rotated seam modification, I did to this top, the white one. In the armpit sleeves, okay? Meaning the seams down the short sleeves coming from the armpit. And in the side seams down here, right? Yeah, at the shirt tail. So there's a lot of things we have to deal with, truly, that we just didn't have to as human beings in the past. And a lot of that is just design. It's common, I've seen around this time, and, for the past while, for there to be too long of shirts. When we talk about just keeping tops waisted, we have a hip hinge. We talk about where clothing sits for everybody, and the pants go above the hips at the natural waist, slightly higher in the front than the rear, just to keep us tucked at the pelvis, posterior on Earth's gravity, just vertical, okay, supporting our bodies. That allows for the feet to work, that allows for the shoulders to stay neutral, okay, out to the feet, out to the hands, up to the head, from the center at the pelvis. It needs to be in its neutral position, vertical, okay, if we're going to be standing. Shoot! Talk about a landslide. I don't think I've said it in this yet, but 1 second. Just more funny than anything. Blunt, bold, raw, and real in the Image Clothing Company, man. You can still see this. It is what it is. Let's see if I can drop it down at all, though. But, yeah, I'm just using rocks. Because whatever works, works. Funny. You can see my face right through my fingers. I'm gonna just keep going regardless because it's about the truth within it. It's not about how like good the video is or seems to be, right? By worldly standards. Anyway, yeah, I mean, we just have to clear our thumbs. And so we've got a lot of designs. I know you can't quite see my shirt tail very well anymore. That's fine. I'll just explain it as I need to because they're too long. And we have a hip hinge, okay? We hinge at the hips. The pelvis bends. We bend side to side at our spine, and that's why the pants sit at the natural waist above the hips, where my fanny pack as well as my pant waistline is. But we bend forward to back at the hip, where the femurs, the upper leg bones, come into the hips, and then the spine comes down into the hips, like a bow, okay? Namaste. Anyway, we need to keep our tops at a good position to where our hips aren't altered. So ideally, this white shirt tail, maybe that's a big part of this, why the video is kind of like going the way it is. Oh, right when I say that. That's funny. Man, that is funny. That's really funny. Literally, right as I said that, right? That's the thing, is just keeping tops waisted is the point. And yeah, this white shirt could be even shorter than this and be beneficial for that to be the case, okay? But here's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna hike out of here while I keep filming this. Yeah, that's all it needs to be for the visuals. But I also told my grandmother that I'd help her with some things today. How real can we get, right? In the Image Clothing Company, brother. Yeah. So, oh, good grief. A little bit of context on where we're at here. St. George, Utah, right? Where we're based is in the Image Clothing Company. Maybe I'll just film it like this with my hand in the air rather than just filming my face. Really, keeping tops waisted is the point. But if we can just have, in all the ways that we can, our thumbs clearing those shirt tails for sure, at least, then we can have healthy shoulders coming from that. Because actually, right, it's like what we say. You can train your shoulders if you want, but you can't. It's impossible to train the human body to get it to do anything. Or you can work on your shoulders all you want when you're feeling pain in them to try to just, rid any patterning or scar tissue that's built up, because that's what we do here under the main side of In The Image Clothing Company is, we rid chronic patterning and scar tissue that gets built up through years, decades, lifetimes of clothing. Really, the only thing physically placed on us. We talk about everything in life: standing, walking, sitting, breathing, eating, sleeping, hydration. But, shoot, this is funny. Well, it's funny because this is such a cool video in itself, just hiking through this and filming it. Oh, shoot. Little birds flying out of here. Living down in these, plants down in here. But anyway, we get into these patterns in our body that is trying to work around clothing placed on it. And so you can try to address your shoulders all you want in life, and it might be coming from somewhere else, like your feet or your hips or even your thumbs not being able to clear your shirt tail, okay? That's a big point. Oh, gosh. And so that's a big point. That's the point, okay? So we just have to have our shirts short enough, really ideally right at that hip hinge. Just if you, bend forward at your hips, and then you can put your hands there, okay? Where is your hip hinging at to allow you to bend forward like you're bowing? That's really where the shirt tails need to stop ideally. But a big focus isn't just only because it can restrict the hips motion, from the shirt tail actually sitting on the hips, but also it's just because that's one of the things that's happening as well. Those thumbs, you just wouldn't be able to straighten your elbows all the way, and so then we lose that neutral wrist, and our shoulders neutrality, right? Our shoulders will drop because we're not minding the gap. So, but this is cool, right? Poodle parade events under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company is where we are now, that I'm discussing one of our other fourths in the Image Clothing Company poodles. Okay, I love that. Oh shoot. Bring your poodles, purebred of any size or mixed poodles of any size, here to the state of Utah. We're based in St. George. The southern end of Utah is where we are, and a lot of it's like this, you know. So yeah, bring your mixed poodles or purebred poodles, and we'll do events like this, you know, where you can come and we'll get people into nature, dogs into nature, get people, you know, back to their roots, man, more authentic, and just have a good time like this, you know, well, in an environment like this, but with, you know, more people with us and dogs with us, and just a good fun time to hang out. I guess I'm gonna go through all this rocky stuff. There's multiple ways out of here, but well, I don't necessarily need to go that way, but let's go down here. Anyway, yeah, we have, you know, what we do on In the Image Clothing Company poodles, which is allowing the body to work essentially, but we do it for dogs. Okay, letting dogs stay natural is the same thing as allowing the human body to work, just phrased differently because it's a different fourth of our company, encapsulated with all that we are as all four sides. And man, it's not the direction I'm going to go right now. But yeah, man, we breed poodles, you know, registering them properly, advocating is that word, for doing so, you know, and keeping dogs healthy, furthering good bloodlines of dogs, keeping less dogs in shelters and more dogs at homes by teaching people how to be good owners of dogs. We talked about holding leashes naturally to not alter our bodies, keeping our neutral wrist while we hold leashes for our dogs, you know, leads for our dogs. And yeah, the height of dogs versus the height of owners. We do a lot with dogs, and so hang out, bro. We give information that applies to all dogs on letting dogs stay natural, except for anything that we do talk about that's just very poodle specific. And well, it'll be like this, man. This is cool. This is just me filming, as far as I know, for the first time under In the Image Clothing Company content at all, this like proper, if you will, of a hike. I mean, you know, I walk around and film myself like this where I do and have up until now, but this is a proper canyon hike, you know. And so, I mean, that's one of the big things we do, you know, one of the events we do as In the Image Clothing Company, poodle parades. I just call them parades because, well, honestly, mostly just because of the alliterations. And one other fourth of us, In the Image Clothing Company music, is where we do a lot with music, lyricism, rhythm and poetry, spoken word, a show, and we just, as In the Image Clothing Company, right? Because as the team comes, we'll see who's doing what where as time progresses. But, you know, the sizing and setup of guitar gets shown to not alter the body, and that neutral wrist, you know, good nails on the fingers and the toes, fully supporting them to the tips, cut relatively flat so we can just stay in those neutral positions in the hands and the feet. But yeah, you know, I love the alliterations. In the Image Clothing Company, Poodle Parade events, Metronome Madness. That's on In the Image Clothing Company music, a 40 episode series of just, you know, kind of off tempo lyricism. TikTok Time Bomb. That's a new series on In the Image Clothing Company music. But anyway, you know, we just do what we do here. And it's actually really important to be very intentional, because it's like what I was saying, you know, there's certain things you never would have had to do in the past. In the past, you just didn't have clothing designs quite the same as they are nowadays. And so you just didn't have shirt tails quite the same as they are nowadays, at least, right? Being as long as they are, you know, with our modern designs the way that they are. So, yeah, anyway, but it's cool. Down here, look at this. This is a rock that I used for a tripod a couple days ago for a video. It's actually titled The Importance of No Loose Ends in Clothing, and I referenced it in this when I talked about the backpack straps. Yeah, it was right there. So anyway, come hang out, man. Beautiful down here, you know, desert environment. So yeah, okay. We don't want to have to modify our clothing. You don't want to have to cut, you know, about a ½ inch off your shirt tail. Yeah, because why would you have to? You know, you buy clothing to wear it. You don't want to have to modify it. If you don't have to modify it, I can go down this way, but I'd rather go this way. Just a drop right there, but this way I have more time to explain what I need to before those construction machinery noises get closer. It's cool to hike through all this stuff too and just film it. You know, it's so pretty. You can see me moving around. I mean, I'm not winded. Man, I mean, that's the thing. I talk about things that, you know, how it's not about me. Truly, it's not. But at the same time, I preach what I have practiced as the founder of In the Image Clothing Company. And that's what we do, is we allow the body to work so we can do stuff like this. I mean, I'm going over some treacherous terrain, man. I mean, you're seeing what's behind me as I'm passing it. I haven't put a hand down, you know, and I'm not winded. I'm speaking through it. My body is very vertical. I mean, look at what I just descended. It's not like an egoic thing. I'm just saying, for the sake of what I'm saying, you know, that's what we do, is allow the body to work so that we can do this stuff. That's a lot of what Poodle Parade events will be as well, is just, you know, it's not only for the dogs, but it's for the human beings in a lot of ways, you know, just getting people into nature. Getting people to be able to experience stuff like this they would never otherwise be able to experience, you know? So, wow, I mean, a lot of people. There'd be no reason they'd be out here unless they had some kind of event they were going to. They wouldn't know what to do out here. They might be scared about it, you know? It's like, this looks crazy. You know, you're from a city and you've just never been in a place like this. You see what I mean? This is what we really do under In the Image Clothing Company. So, yeah, I mean, just see how my body's vertical? And there's so much motion in my legs because just naturally there is. If we can allow our bodies to have its natural motion, you know? Jaws tucked, rib cage is open, shoulders are open, neutral, right? Man, anyway, I love it. I'm glad too that I'm able to just film this little hike out of here. It's just cool to be able to see this. I mean, I almost certainly wouldn't have done this if the video didn't just, you know, turn out how it did by the camera falling like that. And I'll go see if my grandma needs help. Seriously, I don't know. She didn't have a time for what she needed, but yeah. I mean, it's just as real as it gets, right? So here you go. I mean, keep those shirt tails short enough to where your thumbs can clear them, because even this, just my right arm, I'm exaggerating it now, so you can tell. See how my right arm's just swinging with Earth's gravity to just compensate the weight shift of my legs walking? I mean, it's just how the human body works, you know? It just has to, well, not compensate, but accommodate. Oh, good grief. Yeah, we need to be able to do that and just straight down with Earth's gravity. If those thumbs are hitting the end of our shirt tail because it's just too long, you'll have to stick your hand out, and then your shoulder musculature gets pulled on. You get neck tension, head tension, headaches. It's coming from your thumb, not clearing your shirt tail. In this instance, it truly would be. So that's where I'll leave this. Today's the 21st of November, 2025. It's just so noisy all of a sudden. Yeah, my name is Evan Strong, the founder of In the Image Clothing Company. Less of this and more, with the goal being natural on all four sides of In the Image Clothing Company. Less of this, meaning the construction, right? Anyway, thank you. I'm in this Ford life. We're gonna do some cool things. Staying in Utah, St. George, Utah. Come hang out, man. If you want to, just saying, it's, you know, it's available. We've got events we do where you can involve yourself, which is actually an episode title of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. But yeah, so shout out to this too, though. I love it. I love being interrupted when I think I know how something's gonna go, but as long as I'm praying through it and trying to be obedient to God, sometimes things turn out like this, you know, where, you know, it just changes from what I thought or had expected to something that brings something that I wouldn't have otherwise had. like just documenting that cool little hike out of that canyon, you know, right then. So anyway, thank you.